What's up, dudes? So, got the roof completely prepped, and so we're gonna hit it with some bondo. I'll show you guys how it ended up. So, roof here, I had to remove the satellite antenna bolt, and so I stuck a socket in there with some tape wrapped around it to fill it up. That way I don't have to dick around with trying to drill through there. So the roof isn't that bad because all these existing low spots are still filled in, but it definitely needs a skim coat to enhance the surface. And then right here is where I took off bondo to see how the damage was. There was a couple really high spots right here. Maybe that's why it was so thick to begin with. So I just took a hammer, hammered them down. And now that needs a surface. And then some pretty gnarly low spots here need a surface. So what I'm thinking is a tree fell on this car. I could be wrong. Someone could have tipped it on its roof and jumped on it. Somebody could have got up there and proposed to their wife. Hell, I don't know. You guys make up a story. Something cooler than I just did, at least. And now it's bondo time. So we're going to hit it with some bondo. It's bondo body filler. I have not decided whether or not I'm just going to dump it onto the roof of the car or if I am going to mix it on a cardboard surface. That way I don't end up using too much. Because one thing I do not want to do is put too much on there and then have to try to swipe it off or take a rasp to it 30 minutes from now. I would prefer to get a nice, smooth, thin surface on there that I only have to sand after it completely dries. As you guys can see, I did put tape around the edges, and that's so I know where I am stopping, where there is no damage at all, and it does not need any bondo. And that's for two reasons. One, so I don't go further than I need to, and two, I know where the existing roof is. So that's where I can apply my DuraBlock sanding block and have that flat surface where the existing roof already is, versus building up some, eighth of an inch thing of bondo and then sanding it flat and leaving it that way. These guys that did this before me did a quarter, 1.4, and that's why it pilled and cracked and fucked up. So anyway, let me figure out how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have someone else film me, and we'll be good to go. All right, you know what time it is? It's bondo time. Anybody who does any body work, especially on a car they don't know the history of, is going to inevitably run into the fact they got to use some fucking bondo. So that's where we're at today, doing the roof, little edges. You guys seen this other stuff. Am I a bondo pro? No. In fact, I've never even used it. So we're going to see how this goes. But if it turns out well, I'm going to show you how easy it is to use and how easy you can do it too. So what we have here is I am using some cardboard, couple big pieces that I taped together, and the reason why is because I would rather use too much than not enough. Not on the car, but I'd rather mix up too much to where I have a bunch left over rather than running out, put on the car, having to mix some more real fast. I'm just going to do a skim coat. You want to use the least amount of bondo as possible. You don't want to put a bunch on there and then you're sitting there all day hacking away and grinding at the stuff to get it to come off the way you want it. So I have that. I have a metal spreader. I do have some plastic spreaders, which obviously you can use if you prefer, but considering I'm doing the roof, the size difference, I'm going to go with the metal spreader. I think it'll work out better for me. We'll see. Okay, so first and foremost, okay, we've got our bondo here, and we have our hardener here. Okay, so let's open this bad boy up and see what we're working with. And naturally, I'm ill prepared because that's just kind of how I roll. So that ain't gonna work. We need a flathead screwdriver. Here we are. All right, It's just like opening up a paint can. All right, so you get it under the edges there, pop that shit up, and here we are. Doesn't that look tasty? So we're gonna go ahead and scrape some of this off. God damn, it shit's like clay. So, and you never know how long this stuff's been sitting on the shelf at AutoZone or Walmart or wherever you got it. So you want to make sure to mix this stuff up really good. A lot of times when you open it up, from what I've seen, is there'll be a bunch of oils and all the chemicals will be sitting on top of the actual material. And so you want to mix all that stuff in there really good, okay? Wow, that stuff is thick. From what I've seen online, some of the stuff, like this particular brand, it's going to be thicker. Some of the other brands that might be a little bit more expensive, it's thinner and easier to spread. So, but considering I'm new, I'm not really too worried about it as thick as it is. That way, if it takes a little bit more effort to spread it, it's less likely that I'm going to make a mistake. Okay? So, what we're going to do here is we're going to pour a bunch of this shit out. We're going to try to anyway. I'm hoping that'll be enough, but I'm going to get some more going here. There, I know that'll be enough. But considering how inexpensive that gallon is, I'm not too worried about conserving it. So, all right, so here's our hardener, comes with it. We're gonna knead this up really well. You kind of want to let the air out of this. Put the cap back on it. Okay, oh yeah, it's like a waterbed, boys. Now some of you guys over around my age remember what those were like, huh? Splashing around in that big boy. So you knead that up really well, all right? And from what I've seen is the more hardener you use, the faster it'll harden up, the slower, but you want it to be a uniform color. You want to have enough to mix in there. So, God, what a big pile of nastiness. So what we're gonna do is, we're going to put a 1/4 inch width deal right across that bad Oscar. Look at that. That is, we're going to put a little more. Why not? Why not, huh? There we go. All right. That should be enough. Well, let's get a little more. Let's do a little more, huh? There we go. All right, that should be enough. I don't plan on getting after it right away, so if it does harden slow, I'm cool with that. Doesn't bother me. So what you're gonna do with this giant pile of nastiness is you're gonna fold it. Okay, you're not gonna stir it up to mix it. You want to fold it, whip it around, because if you stir it up, you're gonna get air bubbles in there, and that's gonna fuck your shit up. So you don't want to do that. All right. So you're gonna scoop it, fold it. Nice and gentle like, okay, kind of flatten that around in there, almost as if that's kind of how you're going to use it, to get that all mixed in. That is a shitload, so probably a lot more than I need, but what are you going to do? What's done is done. I definitely believe that I used enough hardener, so that's good. But you'll see when I'm folding, see how that's gray? You don't want that. You want it all the same color. So you want all that pink color right there. That's what you're going after with this particular stuff. See that gray? You don't want that. You want to keep mixing that in. Look at that. That's why you got to keep mixing that. All right, but we're getting there. It's just, that's a lot to mix up. Yeah, see that? So I'll keep finding that gray. This, it wants to run down a little bit. We don't want that. All right, that looks pretty good, if I don't say so myself. So let's get up on the car and get to work before this stuff starts hardening up on us. Oh, of course. Of course. All right, so what I'm going to do is scoop some up here and go to work. And that's not desired, but that's okay. This stuff is very thick and not easy to spread. This is what I want. That consistency is what I want. I don't want this thick stuff. That's what I want. Right there. Like I said, first time using this stuff, I'm already starting to learn some tricks to where it would be better. And that is, I think, to put it on versus spreading. You put it on, and then you spread it versus spreading section by section. it's already getting like hard. I put way too much hardener in there. So I think I put too much hardener in there, guys. See how that shit's already like clay? Look at that. Yeah. And my hand's already getting stuck to it. But that's alright, because we're sanding this shit off anyway. So, as long as it comes out, the surface comes out level, then it really doesn't matter. Shit. Alright, let's go to the other side and see if we can make this work. Like I said, guys, not a pro. Yeah. That's already too hard. Alright. So, lesson learned. I used way too much hardener. Way too much hardener. Shit. Alright, let's mix up some more and do this side, and hopefully it works out. Alright guys, so due to my inexperience, I put way too much hardener in there, and even with that massive amount of Bondo, it got, 5 minutes, and the shit is solid. So I got it on there, you guys can see, it thickened up on me really bad, to where it wasn't smoothing out like cake frosting, for a comparison. However, I do believe that it's thick enough to where what's underneath this surface, after I sand this all off and only the low spots are filled, I think it'll be fine. So we'll see. If not the end of the world. All I'll do is remove it all, okay, and then redo it. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. You always got to remain positive and optimistic, especially when you're doing this stuff for yourself for the first time. It's not always going to go perfect. All these guys that are professionals, you know how many times they've done this shit, and they still make mistakes sometimes. You just got to have a positive attitude to correct those mistakes versus getting down on yourself or getting frustrated and ending up with a bad result because you didn't say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and step back now, redo this spot, versus getting frustrated and saying, fuck it, I'm going to leave it the way it is and just move forward. You don't want to do that. Take the time, step back, you'll be happier with the end result. Okay, so, because it got rock hard, my other spatula is trash, so I'm going to use this guy. So, we're going to use less hardener this time, and I would much rather have it dry slow than too fast like you just did. So, let's see what we can do, huh? All right. And it probably doesn't help that this stuff is just thicker than snot already. Okay. So, I think that's actually going to be enough to do the other side of the roof. And I still got a little bit left. I just need this bad boy again. Okay. So just a strip right across the top. Let's fold. I'm not using this. I'm using this. Let's fold her up. And I didn't put my latex gloves back on. So that's a win. That is a win for Dump Jones. No, this ain't gonna work. Alright, I think that's a little more uniform, and as you can tell, it's nowhere near as red as the last stuff. So, and another lesson learned last time is I'm going to take it and I'm going to dump it. Dump it. Dump it. Dump it. You already know what it is. Dump it. Okay, so as you can see, that's already turning out a bit better. Oh, what just happened there? What is that? So, there's a hard part there. Don't know why. There's a hard part there. But it's okay. You just keep going. Alright, you just keep going. Don't worry about it. I don't know about you guys, but not much in my life has really just gone perfect the way I wanted it. You gotta adapt. Alright, the thing you don't want to do is just say, oh, it's messed up and quit. You don't want to do that. Alright, just keep going and hope for the best. So, and one thing you guys may notice is I'm not all that worried about certain parts of the roof, and that's because I know the roof, and there's certain parts that don't really need the surface changed at all. It's good to go. So as you can see, this didn't get hard nearly as fast. Therefore, it's giving me a little bit more time to play with it. Okay, and smooth it out and spread it. Make sure it's where I want it. And also, I had a little bit more control over it. All right. So, not perfect by any means. However, I'm hoping that I got enough in the low spots to where when I block sand it out, none of that shit's gonna matter. All right, the ugliness of it, that hardened too quickly, and there was hardened spots that I didn't pay attention to before I put on the other side, and therefore I drug them into the other side, which chances are it's not going to adhere at all, and it'll just break right off. However, the entire roof doesn't need to be filled. Only certain spots do. So if once I break that down, sand it down, and everything's level and fine, and I don't see any air holes, pits, pieces that are crumbling off, then I'm good to go. And if I do, I'm not going to trip. I'm going to just take a day, take it all off, and redo it. And this time I have more experience. I know to use less hardener, and I know what to look for and what to think about before messing it up. Okay? So my recommendations to you guys is sand with 80 grit. Get that surface clean. I took a tack cloth, wiped off any dust that I couldn't blow off with my air gun, and don't use a ton of hardener. Okay? Apparently this stuff just doesn't need a lot of hardener at all. That's just to speed up the process. One little ribbon across the top, and you'll be fine. Okay? So we'll come back once the stuff's all dry, and I block it down, and I'll show you guys how to do that as well, and we'll see how it turns out. All right? Keep your fingers crossed. But if not, ain't no thing but a chicken wing on a piece of string from motherfucking Burger King. So I'm sanding that fucking shit of a bondo job. The other side turned out okay, but let it harden way too fast. So, for instance, last night when I got home from work, I put a skim coat right here, and it was perfect. It's pretty much exactly what I desired. This was all messed up, but it sanded down really well, However, you can see there's that gouge right there. And there's these imperfections here, and I'm pretty much at the high spots on the roof, so I can't really sand down too much lower. So these are my options. Either take it all off, or add some more bondo just to fill in these little spots here. Because I mean, it's smooth and it's flat. I got to Durablock it, but it's in good shape. You know, it came out actually better than I expected. Especially right here where the antenna goes. That came out really well because this was super high, and it actually came down pretty good. So anyway, so my options are to put some more bondo in there, to skim it, to create a new surface, or enhance the already existing surface, should I say, or take it all off and start over. Or I believe you can put like a glazing putty or something to fill out the little holes. What I'm likely going to do is probably just throw a little skim of bondo in here in these spots, and then resand it down. That's probably what I'm going to do. But however, I'm going to sand that side first, and that way if I have some shit like this going on in spots, where I probably will, I can do it all at the same time instead of doing this side, sanding that side down, having to do that side and shit. This stuff was way worse. These gouges were so bad, so it actually sanded down pretty good to where it won't be that big of a job. I mean, this shit was everywhere, and so considering like here is all smooth, here's all smooth, I'm only going to have to do it in those certain spots, which isn't too bad. If it was like that all over the roof still, I would have had to have just taken it all off and started over. But this is actually desirable, the depth. This is what I wanted. When I took it off, it was like a quarter thick, and that's probably why it didn't last. This depth is what I want. You can see a piece of the roof there. So this shit is super thin, and that's what's desired. So it's actually not coming out too bad. Like I said, man, even when it's looking ugly, keep a sound mind and develop a plan and move forward with it instead of freaking out and panicking and giving up. So we'll take off that side. We'll see how bad it is. I'll put some filler in here in these little spots, and we'll see how it turns out. All right.